We turned 1,500 story views into 48K in 1 month, and that's without ads, without reels, and while our account was actually shadow bound. Okay, here you can see the cash collected from the story sequences for 41,000 euros. That comes about 48K US dollars. Okay, and before you think I don't have a huge following, I don't have many story views, well, this will work even if you only have 5K followers. Our account was shadow banned, so our profile was getting on average between 600 and 1,000 story views, and before was actually getting anywhere from like 3K to 6K. So even though these views actually dropped a lot, our sales went up from stories. And in these videos, I will break down the exact story sequence process that allowed us to turn a Shadowban account into 48,000 in 1 single month, and I will break it down step by step, okay? And basically by the end, my goal is to teach you how you can turn casual story viewers into actual paying clients, okay? Without adding any platforms, YouTube, ads, nothing, right? Just IG. Okay, so this is the guy that we did it for. It's called Manuel Manux. Okay, I actually met it up in Warsaw, August, while we were actually starting this strategy. Okay, and he's selling a trading mentorship. Obviously, he's in Italian market, so buying power and buyer psychology of the people is a little bit different, but the principle applies to everyone in the space. Okay, so basically when we met, we sat down and he told me, hey bro, I'm not doing nothing with stories at the moment because he didn't have a strategy, okay, and he didn't have a structure, okay. And also July has been a very low month, under 20K cash collected between all the traffic sources, so that's ads, stories, YouTube, and also affiliate. So shit month completely. But then when we actually break down what he was doing in July, wasn't working because he was getting followers, okay, he was getting good leads, but then the leads were nurtured and he was not engaging with the leads with IG. That's like his main platform, okay, because he had no idea what to post. He actually flexed a little bit too much. He spent all more than 1 hour a day thinking and trying to post something like valuable for the audience, but he didn't have any idea what to post, right? And also, um, showing is better than the strategy, okay? He needed to show up, right? And he wasn't doing so, right? So his account actually got shut down to share a very, let's say, anti-meta trade, okay? And his views, as I said, went to from 6,000 to 1.1K, 1.3, 600 on the worst days in just 1 day. So he basically thought, oh, I'm basically fucked, right? My business won't do as good as it was to. And the shadow ban was actually mid-July, so that's also another reason why the previous month was so low in revenue. And basically, what I did for him is we implemented 5 steps that allowed him to always knew what to post, not flex as much as he was doing, okay? And he could basically outsource the posting of the stories. So he shouldn't he could focus on like higher leverage task in the business. And then we gave him a strategy so he could have a strategy and also show up daily, okay? Because the reality for of like IG stories and stories in general is that people are warm when they see your story, right? Because they follow you, they engage with you previously, they saw your reels, they saw your post, they liked it, they watch your stories daily, okay? Because people, their brain is tied to IG at this time, okay? So these are warm people, they know you, they probably trust you if you have done things right. And I wouldn't say they're ready to buy, but they're very likely to be interested in knowing something more, okay? So let's go ahead with the first step, that's creating a schedule, right? So we have 3 types of stories that I will break down in the next step, but we have sales, education, and engagement, okay? So up until then, basically, first days of August, Manuel had no idea what to post, right? And without the structure, you are always second guessing yourself because you are thinking, oh, is this right to post? Should I post this instead? Whatever, whatever, whatever. Okay. So we decided that every single week we should map every single week in advance. So I made this calendar randomly, don't follow this structure, but for example, every single week we had the three types of stories, right? And we just add ChatGPT to randomize them, and we basically come up with a schedule for a month, right? And we specifically knew that we needed these three types because sales was driving revenue, education was driving trust, and engagement was letting people be part of something and then come back to watch our sales and education stories, right? And on the days in between, it didn't disappear, right? It shared with thoughts, lifestyle updates, behind the scenes, or students' wins. Yet many students were actually winning inside these communities, inside this mentorship. So I told him, basically, every move that you make, like around the city, you just took a pic and update. Every thought that you have about trading, about your life, you take a pic and you put it in the stories, right? As written down. And same for wins, right? It was getting like 3 to 4 wins every single day. So once every 2 days, I would say, it would post like a bunch of slides without any call to action, just to let people know, hey guys, my students are actually winning, right? And why a schedule so strict, you might say? So people will actually remember if you sold them something last week. They actually won't, because our attention span nowadays is so fast that people are not going to remember your stories from a week ago. And if you see, this calendar, even if it's random, is made to have almost always at least 1 week of difference between the sales sequences, right? And then engagement education are second because they are actually for the people, not for us. Sales sequences are just for us, and education and engagement is for the people. Okay. Oh, okay. Step two, you have the three types of stories, right? Because once you have this structure written down, the next steps is for you to define the story types. I I always choose these three because they are the easier to make and the most converting, but you can actually make whatever types of story that you want. It can be ad hoc, it can be written down, it can be just pictures with text, it can be whatever, okay? But let's break down these sales sequences first. So these are basically sales stories just to drive revenue. That's the only reason why we make them. Basically, there are short sequences ending with a clear call to action. They can be a TM call to action, they can be a calendar call to action, they can be a typeform call to action, they can be even sign up for a webinar, stuff like that, okay? And if you're under 5K story views, you should always use a keyword call to action. Basically, DM me the word types to learn more, okay? Or if you're interested, DM me the word type. Why? Because the link, actually, IG will show your stories more if you bring people off the platform, okay? So if your views are not as high, you're better to promote the keyword call to action so IG won't, let's say, restrict your stories. And also, if linking, keep it simple, Calendly, Typeform, not VSL, not many other steps. If they see and if they click, they are pretty interested, so just give them the action step straight away. Okay, so education stories. These prove authority and gain trust. Okay, you solve one problem or break one limiting belief every single story sequence. Okay, and for example, we focus only on training psychology because that was the biggest mistake that people were doing of his following. And when he was posting reels, right, all the comments were asking, hey, I did some money, but I'm not in the right mind to actually pass a perform, whatever it was, right? Then for you, you should find your audience biggest pain points and give them a quick win or overturn a limiting belief. So let's say you're a fitness coach. Your clients or the people that follow you can stop overeating. You would just give a quick tip or overturn a limiting belief about overeating. and that only will gain also authority and trust from the people because they try it, is small, is fast, and it will work. Okay, and then you always have to show that you truly understand your audience when you're making these stories. Then last type, we have engagement stories, and these stories are all about connection. So polls, Q&A boxes, quizzes. My favorite is Q&A box, because you can run also quiz funnel from this. So use the question in the right way to then funnel people into thinking, this guy has my same problem. I might, if it's good fit for him to join the mentorship, might be a good fit for me. And this is also the type of stories, the Q&A funnels that Iman ran to his business profile. But that's another stories. You will also see how the people are struggling with and how they describe their struggle in their own words so that you can use it in later marketing. Okay, and this story boost engagement and get free market data, as I said. And you can also use this as the bridge. So you can use an engagement story to tease what's coming tomorrow, and then tomorrow you can either do a special offer, a big sales sequence, or drop a testimonial on YouTube and link it and do the sales sequence there. You can do whatever because people, if they see huge announcement tomorrow, it doesn't always sit right, but when it does, people are actually waiting to be pitched. So it's pretty fun. Okay, so step 3 is creation. Hook, story, proof, and call to action. This is an example, right? My mentorship, what it is, I had more than 2,000 students. I had the biggest success in Italy about mentorship, and now we have 2.0, version 2.0. These are like the deliverables. These are some results. Then we, after we get the hook, the story, right? The proof here, and then we have the call to action. That's eating a little bit harder. And as I said, here we use the candle link just because our DM setting process was kind of not ideal, but I wasn't in charge of that, so I couldn't really blame people. Sales sequence, you need to keep them 5 to 6 slide max, or and lose less than 5% of the viewers for every slide. If you lose more than 5% per viewers every slide, it means that your sequence is not good enough or is not engaging enough. Okay, one of our examples that I tracked, okay, we had 1K story views on the first slide, then 720 people at the end here, okay, and we got 25 DMs. So that's roughly like a 3.4 response rate, and it's very easy to have this because if you think about it, it's 720 people and we just got 25 DMs. Okay, it probably wasn't this sequence, but it was another one because here we had the link, but whatever. Okay, then we have education sequences, and the flow here we used was slightly longer because we always had the hook that was engaging with the curiosity of the watcher. Then we have the context, the problem, it means the pain of the people watching. Then we gave the solution or lesson to overcome the limiting belief or have a quick win, right? And this was causing relief. And then always at the end we had some example slash proof, and here you create the authority, right? And here you create the trust, basically. And we always mix this between ad talk videos and written stories like this one, right? Because at least it means that your client, you're actually putting an effort in recording the stories and not just writing down or have your team write down some stuff. Okay, then last type that we used was engagement sequences, right? So poll, questions, and sliders. We use always a relatable opener, right? Then we add the interaction and we have the insights back to them. For example, for the poll, how many of you guys struggle with psychology? Yes, no. Yes, 75%, and we give them a lesson, okay? Question, what's your biggest problem now in trading? Psychology. Insight back to them. Slider, how much you struggle with psychology? This here not 100% that's here, but like 80%, okay, inside back to them. And for example, here we add a sequence asking question on the new product. So the mentorship 2.0, we had the Q&A button, and then we got over 75 polls, sorry, questions to respond. So it was a very, very good thing. Okay. Here you need to be very aware of how you position yourself, because you can lead with authority, reliability, lifestyle, or pure expertise. I always lean toward relatability plus expertise, because if people find you relatable, they will like you more, and also if they find you an expert, they will be uh, more prone to actually learn from you. Okay. I would avoid heavy lifestyle and heavy authority, because heavy authority you can always sound a little bit too cocky, and lifestyle, if you're not bred, probably in 2026 it won't work as much. Okay, so step 4 is almost the last one, and is actually posting. Okay, we discovered 2 times to post, because we had ChatGPT to randomize the date, like the days that we were going to post, but also we had to choose at what time we should have post, right? Because our ICP was very, very likely to be stuck in a 9 to 5. So it was working from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. So we thought actually, okay, 6 p.m. is the perfect time, right? They get off work, they get on IG, they can respond, they can view the story, right? It was actually not ideal, because we had one case to reviews that was actually fine with the shadow ban, but a 7% drop off. Okay. And with this, we changing the time, we actually tried a few changes. So 3 p.m., 10 a.m., what it was, but the best time that we found was 12 p.m. because overall, of the people who saw the call to action at the end, we had a 48% increase. Why? Because we had more views at 12 p.m. Okay. And also we had a 5% drop off. I don't know why, don't ask me why, but we just tested and this was the best time to post. Okay. So overall, the call to action from here, okay, it increased of 48% to 12 p.m. And we were actually getting more people in the evening, so salespeople could actually message them, handle them in the CRM, and whatever they needed to do. Okay, so our final step is getting people to book in on the calendar, or if you're doing, let's say, low ticket school, as many other guys are doing right now, just like get them to buy. So I wasn't handling the setting process, as I said, so I'm not really excited about talking about a setting process. So I will just give my rules that I always use. Okay. So first thing is respond immediately when people just message you. So you're sure that they will be on the phone at least for other 10 seconds. They see your message or are more likely to respond. Okay. Always sounds like yourself, or if you have setters, make them sound like you, because that's the biggest difference between making a good sale and having like a very warm lead, or having a very skeptical lead because they feel they didn't talk to you but to a sales guy, to a seller. Okay, then you shouldn't rely on scripts too much. I saw Easy Italian sellers that were actually quite shit, because they were just like copy and paste the script that he gave them. So that's not good. You shouldn't rely on scripts as much. You should rely on the framework, and then obviously adapt the framework to the person that you're speaking with. And then you should listen, right? Not always ask a question, say something, but you should listen, because they're human as well. You're human, so as humans, we all love to be listened and to explain our stories and uh, our life to others. Okay, so what did actually happen in this month? As I said, we made $48,000. That's like 41K euros with just 4 sales sequences, because we had one a week for 4 weeks. That's it. Okay. And we were able to keep views consistent even with a shadow ban. Okay. So as I said, ranging from 600 on the low end to up to 1.3K on the best end. And then we built a foundation for a long-term Instagram presence, but now his account got banned permanently. So I don't know if that was the case. Then we actually got a 6x revenue from IG because in July, uh, I can't remember how much he did from IG alone, but it was very small. And he tracked that we did a 6x on his Instagram revenue in just 30 days. Even less because we started on the 7th and results came on the 30th. Okay. Then if I could go back, okay, the biggest lesson that I learned from this, and I will actually like lean towards this even more, is you need to build trust and connection with the audience because this trust and connection compounds in so many ways because it grows your profile, it shortens sales cycles, it makes sales way easier, and it makes people happy about watching your stories, watching your reels, and following you on IG. Okay, when you post new content, many other people, if you prioritize this, will actually watch your stuff. For example, YouTube video will instantly have 1K views. Okay, stuff like that. And then one thing that instead I would change is the average order value. Okay, so we are in Italian market. Bear in mind that the Italian like job market is a bit fucked because people are earning anywhere from like 1.5 to 1.9K euros a month. So that's what 2.3 US dollars. So our buyer buying power is a lot lower. So that's why our average order value was 1.1K euros. That's what like 1.3K US, and we were having many payment plans, right? Obviously, in the US market, you could sell this for 3K and 90% of people would PIF, right? But we weren't in the US market and it was actually a little bit more difficult, even though people were actually easier to sell because they were really looking for an escape. Okay. And when I asked Manuel what was the biggest change in his like IG story presence, he said that the biggest difference was having a clear plan and sticking to it for a full month because he always had a plan in his mind, but he didn't have it written down, right? And it wasn't consistent. He was not consistent. He was posting one day yes, one day no, one day yes, 3 days no, okay, and whatever he was thinking, right? It was second guessing, it was having problems. So we changed that. We gave him the structure and consistency, and that is what actually delivered the results. And he actually went on and made over 80,000 euros in September from just IG and the same structure, okay, and the same strategy. So now, if you are a niche expert sitting on 10 to 20K a month, and you actually know that your offer works, but you're stuck on the plateau of 10 to 20K a month, and you want to scale further to 40, 50, 60K a month, obviously without burning your audience, without burning yourself, without being work overload, just send me a DM on IG. I will give you an audit on your situation and how I could help and what I would do in your situation. Also, if you're starting from zero and you have a great expertise, I'm really interested in hearing that and see if we can build something together. But with that said, this strategy is not really about shortcuts, magic bullet points. It's more about building the trust and connection with the audience because it compounds, and then having a clear strategy and clear execution for a long time so people can actually be nurtured over time. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.